Have you heard the good news? We're actually going to be starting our building project here at Trinity Lutheran Church. We wanted to get you up to speed on a few things and talk to you about what's happening. I wanted to kind of just start with how we got to this place. Back in 2017, we started a long-range planning team. I remember meeting back in the Sunday school rooms on the other side. Ernest Johnson was there. Doug Perrin was taking notes. And we were talking about what we needed to do in the building. We did some projects and realized this was going to be a big deal. This was going to take a lot of work. This was going to need to be a full capital campaign. So we got to work. And you as a congregation responded. You gave gifts. We had pledges. You started giving. We got a design ready. We had to scale it back, make some changes, talk about the city, do coding, all of that stuff. And we finally got to the point where we were ready to go. Then we went and hired a construction management firm that has helped us do all the bidding. And we came up with how much it was actually going to cost. Of course, because of COVID, that's a little bit more than what we originally thought, even 6 months ago. But despite all of that, we have high confidence in this project, in you, and in the fact that this is what God is calling us to do. So we want to show you some of that stuff today. We want to show you parts of the infrastructure of this building that are going to have to be addressed no matter what, whether we do it now in a thoughtful way or we do it in a piecemeal, reactive way. We want to show you some of the security concerns that have fueled some of the changes that we want to make. And we want to highlight some of the new space, the add-ons in the back that are really going to transform the look of this place and show our identity and our welcome to this neighborhood. So we're really thankful to everybody that helped put these videos together, everyone who served on our building leadership, everyone who has gotten us to this point. Let's go.
Hello, I'm Wally Deal. I'm chairman of the Building and Grounds for Trinity here and also on the building committee. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit tonight about our Generation to Generation project. Right now we are in the basement of the church, down in the Children's Center, and I'd like to show you some of the stuff that's not quite as glamorous as we'd like to think with our program, with all the new additions that we're going to see. I'm going to show you the infrastructure that has been woefully ignored, if you will, over the last few years. We've patched things together, and I'd just like to show you some of the elements that we're going to be taking care of with the program. Okay, we have just entered the boiler room, the dungeon of the church, where most of our infrastructure originates. Our electrical power, our air conditioner, and our heater is all down in here along with some other issues. What you're looking at right now is our power distribution for electrical power throughout the church. This whole wall will be modified during the renovation. We have issues with overcharging, circuit breaker popping, potential fire risk, and inefficient use of power. Our projection is that our energy usage will go down more than 20% just by improving our distribution system. If you start down here to the right, we are moving all the way to the left. Almost every box on this wall will either be replaced or removed completely. Half of these panels are not even operational. We have had a history of adding things without taking anything away. So that's why you see a lot of boxes in here, many of which aren't even operational. Many are duplicated, and there's stuff that's just not distributed very evenly, which is causing our overages and our circuit breaker popping. Okay, we've already talked about the electrical system and how that's going to be improved so much. Now let's move on to our air conditioning and heating system. You'll see beside me here what's called an air handler. This is the unit that blows the air across the coils to heat and cool the whole facility. We have 7 of these units throughout the church, serving different parts of the facility. 2 are downstairs here in the Children's Center. We have 2 up in the sanctuary, and the other 4 are still all over the church, covering different areas. Every one of these 7 units that we have are original units with the church. I don't know if it goes back to 1954, because I don't know if we had air conditioning back then, but these units have been there ever since we've had air conditioning and heating. They are old, they're worn out, they're noisy, and they're very inefficient. Every time one of these units come on, you'll hear a big thud. It's very disturbing. The airflow going through here is extremely loud. The units that we're going to be replacing these with are much smaller, a lot more energy efficient, they're quieter, and they're effective air movers compared to what we have here. These units have served us very well, but they're way past their prime. They should have been replaced 5, 6, 7 years ago at least, maybe even 20 years. But now we're at the point where we have to do something, and now's the time to do it with this program. Okay, we've moved from the boiler room, the dungeon, down in there where most of our infrastructure is. Now I'd like to go up to our classrooms up on the second floor. The school uses it, and it's representative of what we're going to do with all 3 floors of our facility. You'll notice our windows. Again, these are original windows of the church in this section. I don't know how many windows that we've got notes on. Do not open because it won't close. There's airflow problems here. We're going to replace them with double pane windows. They're going to be a lot more efficient and really make the look a lot better. And they'll be operational, which will help a lot of people in the more temperate climates that we have. Also, in each room and in the hallway, we're going to replace all of these ugly lights. These lights have been around as long as I've been here, since we came here in '71, and I think they were here long before that. They will be replaced with energy efficient, bright lights for the kids to use. They're dark in these rooms, and we can't really do much about it. To do that, we've got to clean a lot of the asbestos off around the lights, which we have in our program right now. All the flooring will be replaced. Our flooring has asbestos, so we have to do asbestos abatement on all floors, but we'll have all new tiles on all the floors. This is just one classroom. We're going to do all of the rooms on every floor. So we're going to have a beautiful, glorious new entrance to the back of the church into the Children's Center. We're finally going to get an elevator. We've talked for 25 years, I know at least, and we started and stopped with different programs to get the elevator. We're going now. We got the program planned. We got the budget covered. The only problem is we still need to have a few more funds to get us over the top. There's full confidence that the congregation is enthused and ready to go forward, and so are we. Get your pledges in.
Well, welcome to Trinity Lutheran Church. I know most of the time that a lot of you come here, it's bright sunshine and it's Sunday morning, or maybe you're coming for dinner and it's in the early evening and the light is really great. But much of the time, this is what our courtyard looks like. And all of the openings and all of the doors are still here, even when it's dark. My kids have a rhythm when we leave here that we all have to go around the courtyard and check all of the doors. There are 7 in this courtyard alone that have to be locked, unlocked, relocked every time we come and go. One of the goals for this program from the beginning was to increase our security, our ability to be able to know and control who can come in and around our building at different times. So on one side, on the Tulsa side of this courtyard, we're going to be redoing that entrance. The stairs will be replaced. There's going to be a ramp that makes much more sense than the one we have now. And we will have a gate across that way that is able to be completely open on a Sunday morning, partially open with a pedestrian side. It'll really make a huge difference. Then behind me, we have the option on the Montgomery side to put out a deck that would go all the way out to the end of by the sidewalk and then have a wall. So it would greatly discourage anyone from being able to come into the courtyard. The part on Tulsa is built into our program. The part you may have heard in some of our letters that we have some add-ons. The part behind me is still an add-on. So that would be, we would need some extra money to make that part happen. Even during the day, when we have 130 kids here, we want to provide a lot of security for our children. We have this balance we need to strike in the community between security and hospitality, and we see them going hand in hand. Because even during the day, when we're walking around this place, we're always mindful that we have babies asleep downstairs. So we open and close and lock and unlock all of the doors constantly. This would allow us to provide the kind of security that would then make us good hosts for all those who use our facility. So we want you to see this stuff, we want you to know how important it is, and we want you to consider giving so that we can do all that we have hoped to do. I just told Taylor and Greg, who are recording these videos, that I don't know what to do with my hands because I don't have a Bible to hold. But here we are. We're in the fellowship hall, which is in a lot of ways the heart and soul of the community here, the fellowship that we're able to have together. Our program does include some upgrades to this room. We're going to be able to replace these storefronts, the windows that are in here. On the far side of in the new construction on that end, there'll be some bathrooms, and there'll be a new conference room, like a classroom on that side. But you know how when you do a remodel at your house or you upgrade something and then the stuff that you have next to it suddenly looks even worse than you thought it did? That's probably going to be the case in this room. So we built in one of those add-ons we talked about that would include some upgrades over here to the serving windows and to this big wall, amongst some other things. And so this room is definitely getting a facelift, but there are additional things that could happen if we receive enough gifts to make that so. So we wanted you to be able to see the space, to remember all the stuff that has happened here, all of the birthday celebrations and anniversaries and dessert churches, the kids running around. This is where a lot of relationships are formed. So there's going to be some attention paid in here, and how much will depend on how much we're able to generate. If you've never been up here, this is the area back behind the organ upstairs. And one of the pieces that we wanted to include in this project are these windows are behind me. As you can see, they're enormous. There's a lot of them, and they're not very efficient. And so we were hoping to replace them. Right now, this is an add-on to the project, so we would need the extra money in order to make this happen. But we're really hoping to, because the replacements would be energy efficient. Dr. Furr says to tell you it would keep the organ better in tune and just generally be much more aesthetically pleasing than these original ones that we've got. So there you go, an ambitious project, one that tries to take really good care of our beloved but aging facility, and one that looks to the future of who we're going to be here as a Lutheran Witness in Fort Worth. You have to ask yourself whether all of this is a really good idea, right? Given the timing, given what we've all been through, is now the right time? And as we ask ourselves these questions, we have to remember the kinds of people we come from, the kinds of stories that we tell. I've been spending a lot of time in Joshua this fall in adult education and in my own Bible study. And I've been reading in Joshua 4 about how after the people of God made it out of Egypt and had to go through the wilderness, and they were finally ready to enter the promised land. And as they're crossing the Jordan, God tells Joshua to have one person from every tribe, so all 12, to take a stone out of the Jordan River, and on the far side to set up 12 stones, and that those stones would stay as a memorial to the people. I want to read this to you. The 12 stones which they had taken out of the Jordan, Joshua set up, saying to the Israelites, "When your children ask their parents in time to come, 'What do these stones mean?' then you shall let your children know. Israel crossed here on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan for you, as the Lord did on the Red Sea, so that all the peoples of the earth may know that the hand of the Lord is mighty." There's never a perfect time, but in many ways, this is it. This is our time. Having been through what we've been through, having done all of the work, having put all of the thought and prayer and action in place, we now get the opportunity to do this project. And so in time to come, when our children ask us about the new stones on the back of the building, what do these stones mean? We will be able to tell them the Lord was with us during some of our most challenging times and has brought us through together as a community. We know that what's ahead will be challenging, not just in terms of trying to make it all happen, but in terms of paying for it. And so we're really sincerely asking you to consider what kind of gift you can make so that we can do all that we feel like God is calling us to do. It will take all of us as a community, but we are all in this together. And so as all 12 stones from all the tribes were set up for the people of God, each of us has a part to play. Each of us has a witness to what God is bringing us through and to.